Presented by eBix Cash. हर खुशी के लिए काफी है.
Hello and welcome. You're with us here on Business Today. I'm Amitabh Bachchan. Let's take you through the headlines tonight. Markets rally for a fifth straight day. Sensex and Nifty close at record highs. Auto, metal, energy stocks shine. Tata Group shares zoom on news of $1 billion investment in electric vehicle business. Tata Motors tells Business Today TV the new EV company will be ready by next year. Infosys Q2 beats estimates. Company hikes growth guidance while Wipro second quarter profit rises. The firm sees IT services revenue growth at 2 to 4% in Q3. PM Narendra Modi launches the 100 lakh crore rupee Gati Shakti scheme to increase coordination between ministries. Industry calls it a force multiplier. Another challenge for the union government as DAP fertiliser supply dips on lower imports. Farmers up in arms as they run out of fertiliser for their Rabi crop. Salman Khan joins Amitabh Bachchan on the NFT bandwagon, says will launch non-fungible token collection for his fans soon. Another strong day for the markets with benchmarks hitting fresh life highs yet again. The Nifty briefly kissing 18,200 for the first time before ending the day up 161 points. That's where we ended up for the day, close to 1% of gains. Sensex also seeing record highs, gaining 450 odd points. They're up 0.7%. Auto sector was the star of the day with the S&P BSE Auto Index up over 3.5%. In fact, barring realty, pretty much everything else was in the green. Metals, energy, those were pockets that really outperformed, gaining between 1.5 to 2% each. Top gainers, let's pull up some of those for you on your screen as well. Take a look at where some of the strength was coming from. So apart from Tata Motors, M&M in the auto pack, we saw Tata Consumer, ITC, Adani Port. So you can see some of that consumption play also starting to really build up again over the last few days. Maruti, ONGC, Coal India, some of the names among the laggards. Maruti didn't join the party, and some of the other names such as NHUL as well continue to remain fairly lackluster in trade. Broader markets, however, continued to be steady. The BSE Mid Cap and S&P BSE Small Cap Index both also ended in the green. Now, the stars today were shares of Tata Group companies. Tata Motors led the charts with gains of over 21%. The shares of Tata Motors DVR, Tata Power, Tata Chemicals and Tata Investment Corporation gained between 10 to 20%, supported by heavy volumes. Tata Motors and TPG Rise Climate yesterday announced a massive investment in electric vehicle business. Tata Group's listed entities have added over 1.2 lakh crore in market cap this month. A day after TPG Rise announced an investment of $1 billion in the electric arm of Tata Motors, Business Today TV's Chetan Bhutani caught up with the top leadership of Tata Motors. In an exclusive conversation, the company announced that it will set up the new EV arm by the end of next year and will invest another $1 billion to create capacities needed in the next 10 years. Listen in.
I'm joined by Shailesh Chandar, President Passenger Vehicle Business B Balaji, CFO Tata Motors Group, and Mr. Ankur Thadani, partner TPG Rise and Group. Well, thank you, gentlemen, and congratulations for the big development across the space. Mr. Chandra, to you first, what is the long-term strategic rationale behind this stake, and what all do you think would benefit the company and, of course, the users?
Thanks, Chetan, for congratulating us. If you really see the passenger vehicle space where I will focus more on, there are two opportunities here. One is the growth of the PV in the ICE segment itself. And there's the initial nascent stage of growth of the electric vehicle space that we are seeing. And therefore, we had to see how we manage a strengthening of our market position as far as the passenger vehicle ICE space is concerned.
Mr. Balaji, could you give us a hint on the financials, of course? Tell us how much the funding the company will get in the first round. As it's been talking about 18 months, the entire funding would be closed down. What about the first round, and how much money would the company get in the eventual round of funding or would it be a straight up funding towards the end of the year? How would it be just for the consumers and the viewers?
Yeah. So I think for starters, now that the approval we received from the board yesterday and we made the announcement, the first is to incorporate the EV company. First, we have to find a name for the company, which we will do first. And then we'll have to incorporate the company, and we will incorporate it with 700 crores of paid up capital to begin with. Once we have done that, then we'll have to complete all the CPs that we have in terms of transfer of employees, contractual arrangements to be set up between EVco, PVco, the shared services arm, etc. So that we are able to provide all the support the EV company needs to actually start operating. And then, of course, when we are completing all the conditions precedent, I'm expecting worst case, this will be by March of next year. We'll then get the first tranche of 3,750 crores. And therefore, we do expect in Q4 of next year, EVco will start booking CapEx, will start booking advertising revenue, expenditures related to all the EV related investments. Right. Then we'll have to start changing all our IT systems to ensure that we're able to get the EV company ready to do buy-sell transactions. Therefore, that will happen during the course of the next 6 months. I'm expecting between September and December of next year, we'll complete the go-live. Those are the go-live actions that's part of the conditions to get the next tranche of money coming in. And by that time, we should be getting the next 3,750 crores. With these two done, I think we are very much on course with respect to all the interventions we want to make.
Mr. Ankur Thadani, thank you so much for joining us also today. Tell us about the investment opportunities. About you, we know that about $5.4 billion were raised by the company, out of which a percentage has gone to the Tata Motors. Any more companies that you're looking forward, and why, first of all, Tata Motors you've been targeting? What was the reason behind that?
Right. So Chetan, from our standpoint, look, we want to be the partner of choice for companies like Tata Motors, right, within TPG Rise Climate. The Rise Climate Fund was raised, and its goal is to essentially catalyze some of the clean energy, climate positive actions that have been done globally. As you mentioned, we are targeting a $7 billion fund. We're close to about $6 billion right now. This is a very good example of what we want to do in markets globally. The Tata Group has shown great vision, sponsorship, and commitment in this direction of electrification. And Tata Motors has achieved great progress in becoming the market leader in such short span of time. And for us, we look at being, good partners, force catalyzers and multipliers to help this company grow over the next 5, 7, 10 years and achieve its vision of becoming the largest EV player in the country.
Infosys in focus on back of Q2 earnings, profit jumping 12% year-on-year, rise in consolidated net profit at 5,421 crore rupees for the September quarter. The board has also approved an interim dividend of 15 rupees per equity share. In dollar terms, the IT major clocked a revenue of $3.9 billion during the quarter. Growth guidance for FY22 raised as large deals boost revenue. IT major Wipro reported its Q2 numbers today. The company's dollar revenue rose by 7.6% from the last quarter. The margins for the company remained soft for Q2 as it fell by 180 basis points when compared to Q1. It expects revenue from the IT services business to witness a sequential growth of 2% to 4%. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today launched Gati Shakti, the most ambitious and audacious project probably undertaken by any government till date. The project aims to integrate 16 ministries into a single digital platform to ensure complete coordination between them.
8 seats with 7 ministers who control the trade and infrastructure ministries of the country. All present and listening in the spanking new exhibition hall in Delhi's Pragati Maidan as Prime Minister Narendra Modi laid the case for Gati Shakti.
कौन सा विभाग कौन सा प्रोजेक्ट कहां शुरू करने की तैयारी कर रहा है, राज्यों के पास भी इस तरह की जानकारी एडवांस में नहीं होती। इस तरह के साइलोस के कारण निर्णय प्रक्रिया भी प्रभावित होती है और बजट की भी बर्बादी होती है।
According to a government report for the April-June quarter, of the 1,779 central projects being tracked, 12 were ahead of schedule and 241 were on schedule. A huge 559 projects were delayed up to 324 months, while a shocking 967 projects had no completion date. What's more, the cost of 480 projects had overrun the estimate by 4.46 lakh crore rupees. Among the top 5 reasons, delays in land acquisition, delays in environment clearances, delays in tendering, lack of infrastructure support, and law and order issues. Clearly, all easily solved via inter-ministerial coordination.
राजनीतिक इच्छा शक्ति की कमी के साथ ही देश के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट को सबसे ज्यादा नुकसान पहुंचाया सरकारी विभागों के बीच आपसी तालमेल की कमी ने, आपसी खींचतान ने.
Gati Shakti creates a common digital portal to which 16 ministries will have seamless access. This ensures that all ministries are informed and work together on projects, breaking down the so-called silos they are currently working in. Some of the targets are 11 industrial corridors and 2 defense corridors in UP and Tamil Nadu, 4G connectivity in all villages, creating 220 new airports and heliports, expanding the national highway network to 2 lakh kilometers and increasing the renewable energy capacity to 225 gigawatt from the current 88 gigawatt, all by 2024-25.
Holistic approach to infrastructure has to navigate the challenges of working through a very complex federal system. It is almost like conducting a grand yet complex orchestra. The outcome is a symphony like the PM Gati Shakti. I firmly believe that this symphony has the potential to change mindsets and show a path for government, industry, academia, and civil society to come together and act for the collective prosperity of India. The synergy that comes from such a collaboration is a force multiplier.
Infrastructure construction can be a large employment multiplier in this country, creating new job opportunities in the rural areas as well, which is much needed. In fact, new connectivity and linkages will enable the regions that are currently excluded to be added into the economic mainstream and generate consequent business opportunities.
The outlay for Gati Shakti is a whopping 100 lakh crore rupees. The government is hoping that not only will the project propel the economy to the $5 trillion club by 2025, but also help projects hanging fire for years. Bureau Report, Business Today TV.
Government sources have told Business Today TV that the Air India board is scheduled to meet on Thursday to formally consider the proposal, among other items on the agenda. A decision on monetization of Air Alliance is expected to be taken up in tomorrow's meeting. My colleague Karishma brings us the story. Karishma, how much is the government's expectation from the sale of Air Alliance?
Well, right, absolutely. While the Tatas have got back to the runway when it comes to Air India, the formal procedure is yet to happen, and Business Today Television learns exclusively that tomorrow Air India board is going to meet to take a decision on certain important things. First one has to be the monetization of Alliance Air. We are picking up that the government is expecting more than 1,000 crore on sale of Alliance Air, and the government is also, of course, going to be looking into discussion on sale and monetization of other assets. While the announcements are done, the series of approvals are yet to happen until December, which will formally hand over Air India to the Tatas.
Finance Minister Sitharaman visited Harvard University, and during the conversation with students, she said India is looking at near close to double-digit growth this year, and the country will be one of the fastest growing economies. FM expects the economic growth next year to be in the range of 7.5% to 8.5%, which will be sustained for the next decade. She believes that India will attract investments and have the purchasing power to demand the best of things from whoever produces it. Listen in.
India will attract investments and will have the purchasing power to demand best of things from whoever produces it. So I see every reason to believe that this 7.5 to 8.5 growth is absolutely sustainable for the next decade.
Bollywood actor Salman Khan is also jumping into the NFT bandwagon. The actor tweeted that he will launch a non-fungible token collection for his fans very soon. For this, Salman has tied up with Olicoin, a Bollywood NFT marketplace. Earlier, Amitabh Bachchan had announced his own NFTs. You're with us here on our Ask Udayan segment. As always, the show where we answer your questions on stocks. I'm Abha Bakaya. With me, our global business editor, Udayan Mukherjee. The Indian stock market trading at its all-time highs, and investors sometimes not sure whether they should stay invested or exit and book profits in their portfolio. What are the best investment strategies at a time like this? We take you through some of those answers and, of course, all your stock-specific queries as well. Do write in to the number on your screen every Wednesday, and we'll continue to answer those questions weekly. Let's begin and take some of our viewer queries now. Our first question today is from Rahul Kumar in Ghaziabad, and he has a query from the broader market. So let's listen in.
Good evening, sir. I want to purchase Exide Industry for minimum 5 year and minimum quantity 500. So what is your opinion?
Well, I've never been a great fan of Exide. I know it sounds on paper like a great investment opportunity because it has such a dominant share in the car batteries market. But over a period of time, and if you look at the last 5 or 6 years, its sales and profits have grown at no more than 6 to 8%. Now, of course, we have to admit that the auto sector per se has had a lean run, and therefore auto components and battery makers have also struggled. But its long-term return on equity profile is no more than 12-13%, which is not really the stuff which generates great wealth in the long term, since your question is on the long term. Also, if you look at relative performance, Amara Raja Battery seems to be growing faster than Exide for the last many years, and therefore the Exide stock has actually not done anything. It's just been stuck in a range for the longest time for the last 3 or 4 years. Now they've made a significant decision by selling their life insurance subsidiary to HDFC Life, and that's a good move. But I don't see Exide actually delivering great returns in the longer term as well. Sure, because there is a revival in the auto sector now, it can go back to 225, 230. But if you're asking whether this is the stock to pick in auto components which will give you great returns in the long term, I think that you might actually have better stocks to pick from.
Okay, Mandeep from Ranchi has a question as well. This one's on Axis Bank. Let's hear him out.
Hi Udin, my question to you is about Axis Bank. Should I buy it at the current levels or wait?
Well, Axis is a good bank. I mean, it's one of the top 3 or top 4 private sector banks worth investing in. So there's no problem with Axis Bank as such. And the sector and Axis Bank as a stock has actually been fairly range bound, and it's not outperformed the market. So if there is a strong comeback in the banking space, then I think Axis Bank will perform. But I don't see Axis Bank outperforming the bank Nifty, if I were to put it like that. I think it will do pretty much the same as what the bank Nifty does in the foreseeable future. So you could as well buy the index if you want to buy Axis Bank. But if you had to choose, I would say that ICICI Bank for the same kind of valuation probably is in a better space than Axis Bank. It seems like a more dynamic management. Even the business mix is good. So if I were to choose between ICICI and Axis, I would say ICICI probably has a little bit of an upper hand. Also, you need to keep an eye on valuations because Axis Bank trades at about 2 times price to book. You could get State Bank of India at just about 1 time price to book. And SBI has also cleaned up its balance sheet quite a bit. So if from a valuation point of view, if you were to play value, then I think SBI is probably in a better position than Axis Bank. And within private sector banks, for comparable valuations, I think ICICI probably is a notch higher than Axis Bank.
All right. Amit Wadra from Delhi has sent a query on Ashok Leyland. Let's find out what exactly is worrying him about his investment.
Hi, I wish to buy Ashok Leyland for long term. Is it the right time to buy this stock?
Well, Ashok Leyland I think will do well for the next couple of years because the commercial vehicle cycle has been very cramped for the last 2 or 3 years. And the first signs are visible that maybe an upcycle is coming in the commercial vehicles and in the buses segment. These are the 2 segments which actually drive Ashok Leyland. Valuations are reasonable. I think 2023, 2024 we'll see almost certainly some kind of an upcycle in CVs because generally the economy is picking up and these are pure economy plays. So I think Ashok Leyland has a good chance of going back at least to the highs of 2018. I think it was rupees 165 where it was trading at in 2018 before the real down cycle happened. So from the current levels, I think Ashok Leyland will go back to those kind of levels at least. But for a more patient investor, maybe in the next couple of years will also be good. I don't think of Ashok Leyland as a really long-term play. I think there are up cycles and down cycles. And you've got to play the cycles with commercial vehicle players. So I think for the next couple of years at least, Ashok Leyland looks like a reasonably good medium-term play.
And our last query of the day is from Sonal Jain from Pune. Let's hear her out.
Hi Udayan, what is your view on Britannia industry? Should I include it in my portfolio? Thank you.
Well, Britannia has also been a very range-bound stock. I mean, it's actually relative to the FMCG sector, it's not done a lot, and you can understand what the reasons are for that. It went through a sticky patch. It was losing market share to Parle, and there were lots of questions on intergroup holdings or loans given from Britannia, which is the cash cow of the Wadia Group, to aviation companies like Go Air. Thankfully, things seem to be improving on that front. So I think Britannia is now, having underperformed a bit, in an interesting position because they've actually just launched or upped the ante on milk bikkies, and they are going to invest significantly in the milk biscuit opportunity. So if milk bikkies turns out to be a big hit, I think Britannia can rediscover some of its lost magic because it is already showing signs of clawing back some market share that it had lost to Parle. So I would say give Britannia the benefit of doubt for the next year or so and see if it can actually deliver on the milk bikkies promise and therefore go on to deliver 15% plus earnings growth over the next couple of years. If it can, I think the stock can give you 20% kind of returns, given that it's trading at about 40 kind of PE, which is a bit of a discount to the sector leaders. So I would say if maybe a little bit of patience is warranted on Britannia, but if after 1 year it looks like they're not delivering, then I think one should shift to other stocks in the sector.
All right, Udayan, thanks so much for taking us through all of those queries, as always, on Ask Udayan. And do continue to send in your questions. We'll try and take as many of them as possible every week.